a new flagship from Olympus, an actual third-party Z-mount lens, some fun stuff from Fuji, and even stuff from Ricoh. Yeah, it's been a weird week. Come hang out, let's get into all this. What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and there's been a bunch of stuff that happened in the last couple weeks, so we got a lot to get through, so let's just go right for it. Olympus, or OM System. Well, Olympus was bought and then they changed the name to OM System, which is actually an old name from like the beginning of Olympus. And they brought out another old name, the OM-1. Yeah, so this is their new quote unquote flagship. And I got a chance to mess around with it, but the big features are, it's a 20 megapixel sensor again, but it is an actual stacked sensor. You have 120 frames per second in autofocus. You have up to 50 frames per second continuous autofocus and metering. But the real cool thing for me is that it has 6 stops of ND filters in there, electronic. It is 4K 60. I mean, this is the power of a small sensor, right? All that extra processing power you get from not having a large sensor to process. So you get 422 10-bit internal recording video and some even more tricks and things here. But the one thing for me that I'll say I noticed about it when I first got a chance to mess around with it was, being a guy who has shot with the EM-1X and some other Olympus cameras here on the channel, yeah, it's definitely got a significant difference in the autofocus. It feels improved to me. Not that I'm the biggest Olympus shooter out there, but I think anyone that's in the Olympus system would pick this up and notice that difference right away. It does do some really cool things like that multi-shot mode where you can actually get a higher res image out of the sensor by taking 4 shots and then putting it together in the camera. Well, you can now do that handheld. It's obviously meant for stagnant, still life type subjects, you know, landscapes, tabletops, whatever. But the fact that you don't have to do a tripod mount situation to do that feature is is a real big benefit in my opinion. You got dual card slots, you've got everything going on here, power delivery from the USB, all the normal stuff. Go check out the link down below for the full spec list, but I'll say in hand, it felt like an Olympus. It felt super well built. I mean, we're talking about an IP53 dust splash and freeze proof rating. It's also just super quick and super fast when it comes to those frame rates, right? And that's kind of what you're dealing with when it comes to Micro Four Thirds. This is, you know, kind of like an EM-1X where they just chopped off that battery grip and gave you more of a smaller form factor that we know for Micro Four Thirds in general, and you get a boost in features all across the board to some degree. Let me know down below if you're an Olympus shooter and this one gets you excited. I'm super curious about that, and the fact that it says Olympus on it, what's that about? Let's talk about that in the comments, because I think this is probably gonna be the last camera you'll see with Olympus branded on it. When we talked to them directly, they were kind of like, well, we didn't want to throw OM System all over because we still think Olympus has a lot of brand power as far as putting it on the camera. So they just felt like easing people into the transition and to start it off with their #1 camera here, the OM-1. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where this one goes. I think that Olympus shooters in general will be over the moon with this one. There's a lot of cool features in it. I know there's some stuff that might not be in it. Who knows what goes on with firmware in the future. We've seen a lot of camera brands include a ton of features in firmware, so curious where this one goes. I think overall, it's a good release for OM System, or Olympus, OM System. It's gonna be a weird one. Let's talk about Sigma for a second. So they actually confirmed that they will be adding another mount to their lineup. So it could be Fujifilm X, Canon RF, Nikon Z. I don't know. I will say get subscribed to the channel because there will be an actual formal video about what that mount is. If I had to place bets on it, which I did on Twitter, I'd say Fujifilm X mount. I don't think you're going to see Nikon Z or Canon RF just yet when it comes to autofocus lenses. I don't think the protocol is going to get released because those systems really want you to buy their brand first before they let it go to third party. So as soon as they flesh out their roadmaps completely, I feel like that's when you might see them. them. Fujifilm X mount has been long established, and this is a welcome addition to the offerings out there for that system. I think Fujifilm has been around with some really great glass, the Fujinon glass, I should say. What I would like to see is get that Fujifilm G mount going. I love this GFX 100S, but it is not the easiest thing to get glass for at the moment. It's also, you know, pricey for medium format lenses and stuff like that. So feel free to go harass Sigma on all the socials asking for G mount lenses, and you can tell them I sent you. That's gonna be fun. I bet you Mark Farr, the guy from Sigma, is gonna call me and be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know we need that mount though. I think I would like to see the G mount. That's my wishful thinking, but I really have to stay sensible and go there with the X mount on this one. Let me know down below what you think as far as the mount that they're gonna take on here. Again, I just don't see them going for the RF and Z, purely for the fact that they're not going to go the same route that Sony went, where they wanted everyone to buy their bodies and just put whatever glass they had on it. Now Sony's trying to sell their branded glass to people who probably are already happy with their Sigma and Tamron and other party glasses, glass on their body. And Nikon and Canon didn't have to deal with that because they had people that already had EF mount and F mount glass that just needed an adapter. So they didn't really have to sell their bodies on that premise. Sell their bodies. Wow, that sounded scandalous. Let's move on. So speaking of third-party mount glass, Cosina actually unveiled a Nikon licensed Z mount lens. Yeah, 35mm f1.2. What is this about? What does Nikon licensed mean? And it's APS-C. So what do we get out of this? Well, it's a 35mm f1.2, and what you get with a lens being licensed by Nikon is it will actually talk to the camera. It'll work with giving data back and forth, meaning you can actually get your settings in the EXIF. You can see your metadata. You can even, since it's a DX or crop sensor lens, put it on a Z mount full frame sensor, and the camera will actually adjust for it, going from 35mm to the equivalency of 52.5mm in the body. So you'll actually get it to be talking natively, for lack of a better term, with the body. This is a step towards the third-party glass, but it's not autofocus. It's not there doing a full-on protocol. This is a step. Is Nikon going to do this with more manual lenses? Will Canon start doing this with some lenses? I don't know. We have seen some third-party RF mount autofocus glass out there, but then firmware updates in the cameras have made those lenses not work so well. So then you're just chasing firmware, and I'm the type of person that doesn't want to guess if my stuff's going to work, especially if I have to go do a job. I think me and Dan share the same fear of updating firmware before we go to a job. We do it after and then mess with it and make sure everything's okay. But this is really cool. So let me know down below if this is something that interests you. I think that the Nikon Z mount is lacking in the APS-C department as far as bodies and glass goes. Maybe they're looking to flesh this out. This is obviously a lower cost option, being a crop sensor lens, but it's cool, and maybe it's a start of something. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. Let's talk about Ricoh for a second. So Ricoh has put out a lot as far as the 360 camera category has been concerned. I mean, we've seen the Theta, we've seen a bunch of renditions of it, we've seen lower cost models of it, we've seen the last one was like the Z something. This one though is the Theta X, and this one seems like it's really kind of basically fleshed out where I thought the original 360 should have been. Let me jump over here. So this is the Theta X, and as you can see, it has a full-on touchscreen on it. So in the past, you had to always pair your phone to the camera to do anything with it as far as seeing what you shot or what you're doing with it. Here, you don't have to do that. And the other thing you had with the other cameras was onboard memory only, and the fact that you really didn't know what you were shooting. You just kind of held it out there and prayed. Well, here, you're not so much. You can actually see what's going on inside the camera, and it's got everything you could think of in this small form factor. We're talking 48 megapixel sensor, 5.7K resolution at 30 frames per second video, and can use external micro SD cards, which is great. Of course, it connects via Bluetooth to your phone, but it has built-in GPS. So I'm guessing if you're someone that's doing a lot of like shooting inside rooms or like real estate, maybe shooting in museums or something like along those lines, maybe you are doing a 360 photo that a business like a club or a restaurant could put on their website that people can scroll around to get a sense of the space really easily. This is something that's this big that fits in your kit, in your pocket. It's no problem. I have one of the original ones. I have the Theta V, actually. It's not the original one, but it's really, really fun. I had a lot of fun with this thing. My issue with it was after I took a 360 photo, the only platform that I could actually use the 360 format where people can like swipe through and actually spin around was Facebook. I felt like Instagram was the perfect place to showcase that, and you couldn't do it. I don't know if that's going to change in the future, but I could totally see this for clients that want to add that extra thing to their media, right? I could see like a fitness studio going, hey, come check out our website, and then you go there and you can just scroll through and see what equipment they have. You're spinning around the space. It's that one step back from VR without going full on or having to map out points and like actually have something where people can like virtually stroll through a space. But it's also a lot of fun as well. I mean, taking 360 photos is a different way of thinking, and it's kind of a really interesting format overall. Let me know down below if you like shooting 360 photos, what you're using to shoot those with. Ricoh has definitely been pushing this and been more on the forefront. I think the market is way smaller than other markets, so they've probably been one of the only companies really focusing on it. We've seen other companies like Nikon try to do this in the past, and it didn't really work out with the Project 360, I think they called it. And there's plenty of other cameras out there that Insta360 and stuff like that. So let me know down below what you use to shoot 360 photos, if you shoot 360 photos, and are there platforms we don't know about? Let me know down below. I would love to know what's going on in this space, because I can't say I'm the most experienced other than just messing around with the camera. Let's talk about Fujifilm for a second, because they just dropped this fun little guy, this Mini Evo. So what is this thing? Well, obviously it's influenced by Fujifilm vintage style here. I mean, it's, you know, that's the outside, but it is pretty much an Instax camera that actually is also a photo printer. So there's a lot of uses here on this thing, from shooting it directly in the camera to printing from your phone and all other things, or even just shooting, saving it to the memory card, and then maybe, you know, printing out multiple copies. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at the specs on this thing. So this is it right here. It's at a $200 price point, but when you look at the specs, it's about a 5 megapixel shot, but you can put micro SD memory into this thing, which is super fun. Is f2 aperture. It's a 28 millimeter lens, which is like 35 millimeter if you want to go like full frame, whatever you want to call it. But what I find just really cool with it is, as you spin the lens, you get different lens effects, which is, you know, mirroring or vignetting or different looks. It's like a toy camera at that point, where you're just kind of like scrolling through different, you know, filters, so to speak. And then you also have a dial here, which lets you scroll through film, which is kind of like the color presets, you know, vivid or antique or blue or whatever. And that's nothing new, but it's just in a really fun package that lets you give a physical print to somebody with Instax mini film. It's one of these things that you get to shut your brain off, just have a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely a social camera. You know, you're out there with your friends, you're shooting, you hand them a print, and people end up really appreciating that. They hang them, they put them on their refrigerator. I have plenty from people that have given to me over the years, or I used to have an assistant that shot a bunch of Instax while we were shooting something else, and that was my BTS with these like mass amounts of little Fuji Instax prints, which I actually appreciate. You know, that's up to you if that's something for you or not, but it's pretty well thought out. You do have, let's go over here. So when you go to the video that you have, you can actually see that there's exposure settings and different stuff like that. You can check out this video for the full features and see how they use it, but it is fully featured with self-timers and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you're talking about creating the images you really want to play around with and make, you know, I mean, and then actually have a print from it. So I actually relate this to, remember that Hipstamatic camera app everybody had on their iPhones in the beginning? Kind of reminds me of that, but with a print. You know, kind of cool. It's definitely something that gets you off your phone and into actually having a camera in your hand. So this could be a good gift for someone that doesn't want to get super nerdy on cameras, enjoys having an actual camera in hand, the experience of shooting, and then also having something tangible to take and give out, you know? I do think saving to the memory card is really cool, because you're not married to just this one print that if it goes away and gone, it's gone forever. You can print multiples, different styles, different looks to it. Very, very cool stuff. And of course, you can then take those images that are on the memory card and just throw them onto social if you want. So super fun camera. I think it's a good release from Fujifilm. You know, I think it's more of a, if it's for you kind of camera, and I can totally understand people that don't feel it, but I totally feel it. I'm totally into it. All right, let's talk about some stuff that happened on Adorama's media overall. So Lindsay Adler actually shot Miss America 2022. Yeah, so this is a really cool article on 42 West. You can go through the entire process of here's the shot and what she was thinking about and how she went about her process of putting together a setup for or what looks she was going for. And you can just check it out right here on the blog itself. And you can go to our YouTube channel and just check out the video and all the BTS here from Lindsay Adler herself, see how it went down and everything like that, and see her studio and everything. So some quick tips on content creation. And also, Gavin Hoey went live on our channel. Yep, he did Film-Noir live. This is a super popular topic that he tackles all the time, but here you see it live every second of the way with how he thinks, the way he's solving problems, what he's trying to build, what he does, and then what he gets from, the result from whatever decisions he's making. Super, super cool. We love Gavin. He's doing live streams once a month on our channel. Daniel goes live twice a month on our channel, and I will be jumping in on that roster, going live once a month as well. So 4 weeks in a month, it'll be Daniel, Gavin, Daniel, and then me, or some rendition of that. I don't know. But always live on Thursdays on the channel, either 2 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to hit subscribe. You're not going to want to miss any of those. And I'm going to give myself a shout out real quick here. If you missed it and you know I was going to bring this up, my special effects workshop that we did, the video's dropped. It's only a 6-minute video, gives you a sense of what went down and all these like huge, here's a hearse that we lit together. I put together all these sets using vehicles and giving people a sense of what it's like to shoot special effects and the methods that go into it and what actually happens with what we're trying to do with these characters. And I just walk you through set after set after set. So do me a favor and go take a look at that. I would be eternally grateful. Give it a like, drop a comment. I will definitely see you in those comments. Okay. Oh man, I am like, I don't think I've done a rewind this long in a while. All right, shout out of the week is going to go to a guy who is soon going to be joining us right here on Adorama TV on the host roster. His video series will be debuting this month, I believe, so be sure to subscribe and check that out as well, because this guy is a technical genius, an absolute style master, and is just a really great photographer, educator, and he's one of my favorite people to nerd out with, hands down. This goes out to you, Ab Cisse, right here. Don't forget to give this guy a follow. He's awesome, and you'll be able to follow along with the videos with his media. He does a lot of BTS, you can see right here in his highlights and in his stories, but he is incredible with the style, unbelievable technical skill. I keep on harping on this, but really, really, really beautiful work. And if you want extra, he's always on our Twitch channel going through a lot of his shots and how he edits, and he's answering question after question. My man does not leave the stream until he's answered every one of your questions. So you get to see his process, you get to hear it, you get to look at the BTS, he explains it, and he also does a lot of fun like quizzing you guys on what you think was going on in the shot, and then he actually takes you through the shot. So that's my favorite thing ever about Ab going live all the time. So don't forget to hit follow on him. Don't forget to hit subscribe on this channel for more stuff from him and all of us. And I'm going to go with question of the week. With this new Instax Mini that is basically a photo printer, how many of you are still psyched on prints? I'm so curious what is going on out there as far as the printing world goes. I know a lot of people look at it like it's very costly, but unless you're selling prints, it might not be for you. I know the wedding industry is big on it. You're selling prints to the couple. It's more seen as like a product that we sell as a photographer. But what's going on out there? Are you printing? Do you print at home? Do you own a printer? Do you send it out to services? Are you psyched on instant prints? Is that enough for you? Do you even care about any of this stuff as far as a tangible medium? Are you someone that works so fast that it's up on social and you're over it? Please let me know down below what you think as far as the physical medium that is photography and where we are in 2022. I'm super curious where we are, especially in this audience, all right? All right, but that's gonna do it for me. You can follow me on all the social, Last X Witness, at me on Twitter, join me on Instagram, check out my own channel right here on YouTube, which I have to get back to. And I'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to like, share this video around. I'll hit you down in the comments. If you write me, I'll write you. And I'll see you guys soon. Later.